So I have some of that information to share with you about testing and about things about the test. But it's going to be a power-packed day, because what I like to do is go through and give you the meat of it. I analyze it, I study it, and I want to give you the focus to do your teaching so that you will teach directly what teach you're supposed to do at what level. Sometimes we teach too much. We go beyond our horizontal into the vertical, and sometimes we don't teach enough. So let's start off. The focus is going to be for the reading. We'll have 3 areas. One will be, do you understand the teaks? And you'll go, oh yeah, they've been around for a while. I understand them. I know them in my sleep. Do you know them? I want you to see them through my eyes. And I want you to see things I've discovered about them that maybe you haven't thought about or seen. It's going to make it so much easier. Also, examine the questions to determine how they will be tested. Are you asking the same kind of questions? Are you, in order to meet the thinking level of the test? And then finally, analyze the answer choices, and that is the most important part. If you look at the rigor's not in the teaks, the rigor's not in the questions, the rigor's in the answer choices. And that's where you find the evidence. So, we'll be covering these 3 areas this morning. First, I want to make sure, because we're still finding teachers that really don't pay close attention to the difference in the readiness and supporting. Oh, that's major, knowing the difference in the readiness and supporting. Also understanding the genres. Readiness genres are fiction and expository. Fiction in category 2 and expository in category 3. All the other genres are supporting that are tested. The only 2 that are readiness are fiction and your expository. The supporting genres are literary nonfiction, poetry, drama, and persuasive. Embedded would be your procedural elements, like how to do something would be embedded in one, and informational pieces, so that would be your category 3, and in media literacy in both. Readiness. Now this is straight from TEA. I try to give you information that's straight from the specs so that I'm giving you accurate information. So as far as the, yeah, if you could just, can you get just one row off? Or maybe get this off over here? Okay, thank you. They are essential for success in the current grade level or course. They're important to preparedness for the next grade or course. And they support college and career readiness. That is what they state is important about your readiness standards. Now, by the end of the day, you're just going to, readiness is what you need to focus on. This is why, these are the 3 reasons why they're so important. These are your readiness ticks in 3rd grade. Now, way back, as I told you, I've been involved in writing practice materials for it with my company for years. Well, back in the early 2000s, I always take, when they release the test, I'll take and analyze it, and I'll go through and I'll mark all the questions as to what they are, 3.41, 3.4a, etc. And it does that every once in a while. I went through, and this was in the early 2000s, and all of a sudden I noticed, like in the 4th grade, there was one teak that had 12 questions over it. 12 questions. And then I found out, this was before supporting and readiness, that there was basically 6 teaks that dominated the test. If you concentrated on those 6 teaks, and you were very strong and focused on those 6 teaks, you had the test met. Because those were the readiness. They hadn't designated them yet, but they were the readiness. These are the readiness for 3rd grade. These are your readiness standards. And you look at 4th grade, do they change much? You look at 5th grade, do they change much?
Go back to 4th.
Go back to 4th. Do they change much? No. And they're pretty much what it was way back when. So these are your concepts for your readiness teaks, right there. Okay, 5th grade. Got it? You notice the first ones are vocabulary. Then you have your literary, and then your expository. But I'm going to reiterate over and over again how much vocabulary is a part of the test. In the elementary school, it's very important. It's very strong on the test, the development of vocabulary. All right, your supporting standards. They're introduced in the current grader course. They reinforce in the current grader course, preparing students for the next grade, but not a central role. Did you get that? Not a central role. They're more narrowly defined ideas. That's your supporting TEKS. I want it defined, readiness supporting. Get that in your head, because what happens a lot of times as teachers, we look at the TEKS we're supposed to teach horizontally at that grade level, and we're overwhelmed. Wow. Without looking at it vertically, and know what piece was established in the prior grade level, and you don't have to go here because that's going to be covered next year. And whether it's readiness or supporting. Third grade, you know they lowered the number, in third grade they lowered it by 6. The number of questions on the test. So they've gone from 40 to 34. They've lowered category 1 to 5 questions rather than 6, category 2, 15 questions rather than 18, and category 3, 14 questions rather than 16. So now these, I know they changed them this year, but those are forever and ever and ever and ever. They don't change year to year to year. So now these are going to be forever and ever and ever. There will always be 5 vocabulary questions in third grade. There will always be 15 dealing with literacy, and there will always be 14 dealing with informative. Always. So look at your 65-35. I use 65-35 because they say on the blueprint that it will be from 60 to 70% will be readiness TEKS tested, and 30 to 40% will be supporting TEKS tested. I just go in the middle and say 35-65. That's approximately. So with the 35-65 breakdown, we would have 22 questions readiness and approximately 12 questions supporting. Thank you. So see how important readiness is? See how important readiness is? These percentages don't change. There's always going to be 5 questions, always going to be 15, there's always going to be 14. There's going to be more questions in the area of category 2, which is your literary. But look, your vocabulary is 15% of the test. Pay attention to that. Okay, 4th grade, they're eliminating 8 questions, and that's true with 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. They're eliminating 8 questions in reading. So we're going from 10 now to 8, 18 to 15, 16 to 13. Again, look at the amount but that's not just vocabulary, is it? What is category 1? In 4th grade, category 1 is vocabulary and paired passages. Why? Because category 1 is across all genres. So that means vocabulary can be tested at all genres, and paired passages questions where you're comparing the two and analyzing the two can be across all genres. So that's why you have so many there, because it's not only testing vocabulary but paired passages as well. 41% is dealing with your literacy and your literary units, and 36% your informative. You have approximately 23 questions that are going to be readiness questions, and 13 that are going to be supporting questions. Again, emphasizing those readiness, the core of your teaching. 4th, 5th grade. Again, we're subtracting 8 questions from the test. There will be 8 under category 1, 16, and 14. Following the same percentages here as far as making up the test, adding, even though there's more questions in 3rd and 4th, still your literary has more questions. 65, approximately 25 questions will be readiness and 13 will be supporting. What are you to teach? Okay, did everyone get a workshop booklet? Got it? Okay, I want you to look in your workshop booklet and go to page 6 and 7. It's extremely important that we look at the teaks vertically, because we get very overwhelmed when we look at them horizontally. If you look at, on page 6, if you look at 3.4a, 4.2a, and 5.2a, I want you to see them vertically. If you look at 3rd grade, of course we're covering the suffixes and prefixes. And then we go to the Greek and Latin roots in 4th grade, and then we go to the Greek and Latin roots in 5th grade. Do you see any difference in the wording of the teaks in 4th and 5th grade? No. So it's...
Could you repeat those again? You said 3.4a?
These first 3 right here.
Oh, thank you.
Right here. 3.4a is your prefixes and suffixes. Then vertically connected to that is your 4.2a and your 5.2a. And you look at 4.2a and 5.2a, there is no difference in the wording. It's just a matter of these would be 4th grade root words and these would be 5th grade root words. But they don't designate that, which ones would be 4th and 5th. Okay, if you look at 3.4b, 4.2b, and 5.2b, okay, use context, use the context, use context. Determine relevant meaning of unfamiliar words of the sentence. There's very little difference. Let's see. Use the context of the sentence and use the context in sentence restatement. Very little. So do you see you add your piece of the pie? If we get vertically aligned with 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, if you really we're so busy looking at it horizontally, if we would look at it vertically, there would be less to teach. If you just concentrate on your part, don't go too far, just make sure you have mastery of your part,